Hi, this is Natalie Armijo from Miss Rhodes' Science Methods course, and this is my final reflection. In this class, I thoroughly enjoyed many of the activities that we had the chance to partake in. I really loved the hands-on approach to the 5E. I think that having this hands-on approach was more beneficial than reading about the 5E, because if I would have just read about the 5E, I would have had no idea how it could be incorporated in the classroom. Instead, Ms. Rhodes effectively showed us how the 5E can be used in the classroom. I think back to the beginning of the class when we went on our nature walk and Ms. Rhodes gave us different books and we put together different collages of animals. I had no idea we were partaking in the 5E, yet it was such a fun experience, and after learning that way of teaching was using the 5E model, I really want to use the 5E model in my classroom because I feel like students will be more engaged and actually learn the material. In this class, I also enjoyed the videos that showed experiments and how I can use experiments in the classroom, and they don't have to be a big deal. Many of the experiments only took 5 or 10 minutes and required minimal resources. So I think that the videos were really beneficial because they helped show how you can bring in experiments and they don't have to be a big deal, and kids learn and get excited whenever hands-on approaches to learning are used. Although I enjoyed many aspects of this class, there were some aspects that could be improved upon. I think that attempting to watch the webinars in class was not beneficial for me. I do not really follow along with webinars in general because I really like to put a face to the voice that I am hearing. I cannot follow along with just audio, and so doing this in class really isn't helpful for me, especially with webinars, because at the beginning of a webinar, they ask really irrelevant questions like where you're from and all of that, which are irrelevant because we're not partaking in the webinar at the time, we're just watching a recording. So if you were to show webinars in the classroom again, I'd say to cut to the chase right away, to get to a point and not show too much of the video. Instead, show maybe like 20 minutes tops of a really good section of the webinar that gets the point across. I think that the webinars do have good information, like the one we attempted to watch about the NGSS standards, although I wasn't able to follow along quite well. I think that you could actually probably do a better job making videos, so something to keep in mind. Along with this, I'd say there are things that the instructor could do to make the class a little bit better. I would love to have a workshop within the makerspace. I loved having the opportunity to see what technologies are offered in the makerspace. However, I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get to actually use the technologies, especially with the students who came in. Many of the students really wanted to go into the makerspace, were really interested in seeing what the makerspace had to offer, but they weren't given that chance. I think that within the internship, it would be beneficial to have the opportunity for the students that we bring in to go into the makerspace and actually get their hands on that technology. That's the whole point of a makerspace, is that students have the ability to create and design and see how science can be used. So I think one way that we can do this is by getting the students in the science methods course more comfortable with the technologies. This can be done by having a workshop in the makerspace. You could take students into the makerspace and have the guys in the makerspace teach them about the technology, teach them how to solder, teach them how to 3D print. I know some of these activities are a little time consuming, but if you do the internship in a way like we did this past semester, where the same students come back on Monday and Wednesday, that problem is kind of solved, and students can have the opportunity to work in the makerspace. I really liked the activities that we pulled from the lesson plan book. However, I felt that there are some parts that students just didn't like. For example, just the mini readings of books. I know this is really beneficial and almost essential in the classroom. However, in the after-school program, students are learning all day, and this is a learning activity, but I feel like it should be a lot more hands-on for the students. So, like I said, getting your students, the science method students, more comfortable with the scientific concepts will help them to better teach these students who are coming in for the after-school program. That kind of leads to my conclusion. The most important thing that I think will be successful for me in teaching science would be that I am comfortable teaching science. Previous to this class, I absolutely hated science. I was most comfortable getting a C in science because I knew I just was no good at science. And this is because I thought that science involved textbooks and really lengthy theories and complicated equations and words that I've never heard of or cared to even think of. And this attitude towards science, I know, cannot be conveyed to students because I don't want my students to have any negative feelings towards science. I want my students to be excited for science, to just be open and willing to try scientific concepts. I want my students to feel comfortable with science, and I know that I will have to feel comfortable with science. I feel like I'm more comfortable with science, and part of this has to do with because I've been more exposed to scientific things and have seen that science isn't just from a textbook. It is hands-on. And because of that, because I know that, I will teach science hands-on in the classroom. Thank you for watching, and thank you for this semester. I have thoroughly enjoyed this class.